All right. Happy 2024. It's January 19th. We're back and taking kind of a fresh look at education in the year. Does anyone want to begin just adding anything and or what topics, just even if they're unsorted or from knowledge, just what topics, whether they're for us to be working on, or what do we just want to categorize so that we can have things be streamlined with the synchronous meetings and what work we really want to be doing and what's the best.
I would, oh, you already started writing it. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to discuss Tom's database. Yeah, add that to the agenda.
Tom, is your mic working? Or okay. 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 Let's first get as many topics. Okay, so we have Tom's database. We have SysXML and active block fronts, which let's talk about how they're related, Shingai, and what your preferences are and the current schedule that we have for that. For those, get those all written here. And what else? We have the Rob's archival work.
That has been covered in the knowledge management stream. So there's some crossover here, but as I said earlier, I'm new to this stream, so I'm willing to go with the agenda in progress and current topics for a fresh 2024 start.
Cool. Let's just leave it here just to get it, just so that we know that it's there. Any other educational things? The SIG. Okay, so Shingai, what is what which one of these should we start with, or what are you kind of focusing
Yeah,
on?
absolutely. Let's maybe start with SysXML and active block fronts and starting to think about, how those two will be connected. So I guess I can paste this link in here. So this is a page where we are starting to collect just hopefully basic information about George's proposed system language in a way such that anyone who's curious about it and wants to learn can do so without having to read the entire textbook. So if you go to the About page, then you have a description of its purpose, its theoretical foundations, grounded in the principles, the ontology, and the mathematical definition. And then it goes into the design elements of the language. And eventually, these sections on ontology and mathematics and principles will link out to chapter summaries with more detail for those who want it. So I would appreciate any feedback on how this page could be organized in a way that reduces information overload. Would it be better to have this broken up into separate pages? And if there are any details that people are wanting. So yeah, any feedback on this page would be helpful, but I think it's a solid start. So that's kind of the latest progress on the SysXML work. And we are starting to apply it to a few example systems, starting with a Neuron and Bitcoin. And so we'll have those examples on this main page within the next few weeks. As far as active block fronts, Daniel, would you like to start talking about the project? Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we scheduled a regular time, 16 UTC on Mondays, 8 a.m. PT. Okay, so Active Block, for instance, is using CAD, which is made by the Block Science team, but it's open source project. CAD for a systems engineering execution type framework. And they also have like a lot of very interesting knowledge engineering work, but just focusing on the simulation part here. Um, CAD wrapper around active inference generative models. And there's just mega connections with systems. There's CAD being based in generalized dynamical systems, GDS. Of course, how is GDS related to GST, to inference? Like there's basic systems research questions that we'll address with the analysis alone of CAD and active inference, and it helps us model other systems. So that's where we've been working on or thinking about with the active block inference project. And then there's like a few, I guess, exciting directions. There's a Discord chat with Shingai and others that the Token Engineering Academy. So they're usually more like on the Ethereum crypto side, but they have been developing like with language models. So they've increased the accessibility of generating CAD simulations, which as Shingai knows, is like, it's like non-trivial to specify these simulations, but they're very powerful. And so now the language models and the coding models have helped make that faster. And so now they're looking towards the cognitive modeling dimension. So then there's like, that's like the Ethereum and like the token systems. And then BTC is another complement that gives, I think, diversity within the cyber specification so that we can differentiate like what is just cyber and what is like BTC versus ETH, and use that to generate really simple systems analysis examples, and and just show how it can be the backbone of generating simple and advanced materials, period, even leaving the whole system science part aside. Just show that that's the format for analyzing systems. And as many systems will have cognitive components, that's the active inference part. That's hence the hosting at the Institute. And so just thinking about this from kind of a weekly perspective, Monday morning will, and this starts on the 22nd, next in several days. I can add anyone to the calendar event if they want. So let's see who shows up on the 22nd. And have logs just to keep building in the Blockverse document. See who's there from token engineering and from the institute and stuff. Use it as another point or time to make small improvements. I see your number now, Tom.
Hello.
Yes, awesome. Cool. So just during this time, oh wait, I'm gonna just mute the what thing. I just muted the phone, Tom. But coming from the active inference side and the token engineering side, especially if some of those people want to like co-facilitate, or they are really focused on creating the or adapting the tokenomic models that they have. And then again, connecting on Fridays and seeing where we're at as we kind of like, what is the like under the ISSS research program or whatever, or maybe ISSS is only one, just a specification language. So like the plain text component, the visual component, the annotation part, all these different, well, let's figure these out in the coming weeks, Shingai, with whether you wanna, or however it's decided to host the systems part. And then in Coda, we can make an embed, like it's all good if somebody else is hosting other materials, or we'll just keep on modifying the block friends and just see, and then try to include people in the activities and um see where it goes over the 1 to following months.
Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, no worries, George. Greetings.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. That sounds great. And I'll just add that I have a lot of experience and knowledge in crypto and token engineering. I've been doing a deep dive into SysXML, XML, and active inference is kind of the missing piece of the puzzle for me. I did spend some time with ChatGPT about a week ago, asking a bunch of questions. So I think I'm getting a feel for the purpose of active inference without needing like a deep understanding of all the mathematics. And I've collected a few research papers that I've put into my Zotero on active inference for me to go through. So I'll chat with you over email, but I'm getting caught up in terms of a basic orientation towards active inference, which I think will be helpful for me.
Chill. Yeah, this is going to be really fun, and asking the basic questions as we bring the crypto and the tokenomic, the systems and the active inference and all these other things, and just documenting it and developing our approaches. And I believe that just from experiments that I've also been doing with like plain text formats for model specification in active inference over the last few days, like that was just with a chat interface, but the developers of the CAD LLM work, they'll be able to help programmatically specify certain things that we're just testing in low throughput right now. So once the rendering and the implementation of systems modeling is accelerated, that'll confront the specification part. And then that's when it'll be important to have the neuron and all of that. Test the rendering of the plain text description of the neuron model into CAD. George, how goes it? Or what do you want to talk about? We're just kind of going over the different threads, even if they're not exactly how they've been categorized before, just getting it all on the table and just seeing what we're gonna work on and everything.
Yeah. Well, I'm really impressed with Shanghai and Joseph's work so far. Just to report, just Shanghai, you probably already heard from Joseph, but we had a very productive meeting, and which includes bringing out some things that need to be fixed. So I was just really thrilled to go through that with him. So let's see what else is going on. Well, I just finished Daniel Bennett's, I think it's 2012, From Bacteria to Bach and Back. And I highly recommend it for folks interested in consciousness and that sort of thing. And I mean, I just finished it. The page turner. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I've really got anything right now. I'm thrilled that everybody's taking such an active interest in what we're doing here. So
Cool. Like, let's think about the kind of weeks ahead. We'll have just reorganizing just so we see the time. Like Monday, starting on Monday, see what people's capacities and preferences are in this from the Octa block for inside. Fridays, we can alternate between knowledge engineering and education, which is how it's currently on the calendar, or we could just modify them to be like the same weekly time and a one weekly series, like systems co-working or something. And then if we had some topics, or if somebody had something new to share, they could, or we could just continue working on SysXML or share any other like insights or challenges from that week. And then maybe I mean, just how do we imagine? Yeah, or I don't know. What do we where are we going to be working on which aspects of it? Like what yeah.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I can just add, in terms of scheduling, I'm probably going to be holding meetings for the systems modeling SIG starting in February, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. So you can add that to the schedule. But yeah, good question as to like where exactly we'll be discussing each of these components.
I'm trying to find the active block reference link.
Yeah, here I'll put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll give a short overview of this document just because it's just because it contains a lot of information, just so it's fun. Okay. You said 10 a.m. for the
Yes.
what is the name of the SIG?
Systems modeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, invite us when you can.
Mhm.
Okay. Here, I'm just going to show the block reference coda just because people may be interested. The top is just an overview of I think this was AI generated. Write a PhD dissertation on what was on this page or something like that. Spinning up with block reference is a good starting page. Tasks was kind of a never fully realized task allocation architecture, but with more people we could redesign, but these are just kind of just a little board of tasks. Okay. The package section describes the GitHub repo basically, and the files and the dependencies that are in it. And then this page, Active Implementations, has like 40 implementations of Active in different languages. So especially with like using Cursor or other code models, it's possible to put in the working code and have it modify the working code. Cognitive modeling section is kind of steps, the recipe, and a lot of different stages and settings for doing cognitive modeling. So that's the kind of like working from the system of interest towards the generalization. So that's where we've had a lot of informal conversations because it's easier to talk about this than to do it. But then that builds from the kind of low road approach. Topics and modules has like, it's just alphabetical, but it has a huge number of topics. This is kind of just like where we took notes in a lot of different of those meetings. This is the outcomes of the project, like failed grants, multiple hilariously failed grants, and papers and so on. Those are the sections. It's just yeah, I am not sure of the best way to coordinate the onboarding and all the knowledge and so on. But I guess that's something we can explore.
Hmm. Yeah, when you say knowledge and onboarding, do you mean for like anyone who is new to active inference / active block inference and like wants to get involved and is wondering where to start? Or
Yeah, or just like, let's just say in 6 months, someone's excited to, yeah, join the project
mhm,
SysXML or something.
yeah.
So how to balance like like going to here
Hmm.
as this grows pages
Yeah.
and categories of paths of categories and so on.
Hmm.
How will that have stable referent and all of that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And apart from just like how it is theoretically, just where will it be? But yeah, Tom, do you want to?
You were planning on meetings on Mondays, every Monday at 8, was that?
Yeah,
That's where I came in.
yeah, that's gonna be in the Discord. Do you use Discord, George?
I haven't.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
well, let me just say, I mean, this really sounds interesting and I'd love to follow it, but 8 a.m. is a real challenge for the same reason I was late today. My mornings are difficult before 10 o'clock. So I don't change the time for me. I will try to make it when I can just to see what's going on. And if you can kind of keep me informed, because obviously there's two intertwined subject areas that I'm intensely interested in.
Cool. Yeah. Um, we will definitely let you know, and I'll put in the chat like the Discord join link, which is where those meetings are, not in the
Okay.
Zoom. However, if multiple people start wanting to like work on that and it's a little bit more self-sustaining, like if there was multiple people already meeting at that time, they could continue working at that time, and then I would start up a new time that we could coordinate on and so on. And just I think we can none of these things have to be fixed for like the year. Let's just see how it works for the coming several weeks and what and also like Shingai Sig. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, just for context, I've been talking with Jen and we are going to rename it to just systems modeling and have systems engineering spin out into a separate SIG. But historically, the two were linked, but I'm unlinking them.
Is this a SIG that you has been created new, or have you taken over an existing SIG?
I took over an existing SIG. It was dormant. It was I forget his name. It's Javier Calvo Almado, an engineer, I believe, chaired it a few years ago. And Gary asked me to take it over. But after writing the description and having some conversations, we decided that it would be preferable for me to have it be just focused on systems modeling. So I initially wrote the description with engineering in mind, and we'll tweak it slightly to be more purely focused on modeling, but the current description is still pretty accurate.
I think a great advantage of that is that modeling is used both in scientific work and in engineering work. So it will be more applicable to the wider scope.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm curious, as an aside, what is the process for taking over an existing or dormant SIG?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gary asked me if I was interested, And then he said that I would need to basically I emailed Jen expressing my desire for the position. And then she greenlit it. So pretty just like express a desire to do it. It seems very informal. Yeah.
She's working right now trying to figure out how to get Tyler and I to be co-chairs of the GST SIG, and I'm expecting her to take the same approach.
Mhm.
Does it have to go to the board and a board meeting?
I've searched the bylaws. There's really nothing about SIGs in the bylaws and the proposed policies and procedures. And there's nothing in there about, who has to vote on it or whatever. To form a SIG, initially, you have to get, I think it's 12 members in good standing to essentially sign a petition of support. And you have to write up a description of what it is and what you think you're going to do and all that kind of stuff. And then that does go for a board, pardon me, board approval.
And I think Bill Smith took over a SIG as well, didn't he, a while back?
Yeah, he's now the VP of system practice, I think, but also it was Alexander Laszlo's SIG, and I can't remember what the name was offhand.
Yeah. I think it was quite descriptive and long. Thank you both.
Cool. Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, just on a side note, I am thrilled to see so much activity now that really seems to be energized. We're getting there. Also, Tom and I can sort of pull back and say, hey, look at the ages of some of these people who are being most active. They're going to be around a while. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, it'll be fun to have it be more active, and I think it just reflects that just the path was blazed to thinking about system of interest as system previously. That's the system science part, and now it's like it just kind of swerved into that lane. And I think that the practical tool building and the theory building and synthesis is like where a lot of people have gotten to independently, because those are the major theory and application challenges that would just stop anyone from reading the active inference textbook or reading George's textbook, and then just like, what's stopping that person the next day from making a smart home? The theory and the practice. And so those we don't really know what it looks like for either branch on the research and the development systems threads, but multiple people appear to as Rob emailed the responsible, accountable consultant informed. And then if the people at least care to coalesce around those avenues, we can make progress. Tom, do you want to wait on? I just try unmuting on your phone. Yep,
Hello.
go for it.
Can you
Go
hear me?
for it. Yep.
Oh, good. First of all, I'm going to speak with Shingai later today. I hope we're still on for that. About modeling.
We are. Yep.
Other thing that comes to mind, and we're in an early stage here of reorganization, is planning. And there's something called business motivation model. It's a model from the object management group developed probably 15 years ago for planning. So you build a model of the plan in effect. And the model's in effect a class diagram. It starts with a vision or an ideal, where you want to go. And then you go to strategy and tactics, and there's maybe 15 or 20 different items. And it's all tied together so that everything needs to fit, needs to be coherent in effect. So if something changes, you can look and see what else does that change. So if your vision changes, then you can look downstream at strategy, tactics, and so on. See what needs to change, or the other way, if there's some new tactic that comes to mind, you can show how that fits in. Anyway, it seems like something that would fit. I did a PowerPoint on it at one point. I sort of hate to introduce something new because we have so many new things coming in now, but it seems like it would fit very well. It would also get people to understand the power of modeling, which I think is not totally digested yet. So if there's any interest at all, I can send out a PowerPoint that I did where I took the spec from the OMG and did a class model. So any plans now would be instances of the classes that are already well defined and all the relationships between them. So it would be relatively easy to use. I'll send out the PowerPoint, and maybe we can talk about it later.
Thank you. I would be very interested.
Does anyone, by any chance, is anyone familiar with it?
I'm not familiar with
I
it.
wouldn't think so.
Well, but if it's organized the way it sounds like it might be, I'm very interested in looking at it. Because when I did my master's, I was involved in strategic implementation, planning and implementation.
Also,
okay, well, I'll send out the PowerPoint.
Cool. Yeah, also like in the affordance space for an active inference model, like people are thinking about well-typed or strongly typed active inference models. Like and so what kind of a variable are what components of sensory and actuator systems, and then how can we use, like, not that's the only approach, but how we have been approaching it, how can we use the active inference ontology and what kinds of expressions in the active inference ontology describe what kinds of like communicative acts, because there's there's informational objects that aren't plans and there's ones that are plans, but it's not like essentially or simply that way.
There's a lot of stuff we're trying to pull together. Sounds like a big challenge.
What about your database, Tom, or anything on this?
Yes, Shingai and I are going to speak about that later. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to address that. First of all, I consider it a model, not a database, although it has a lot of data. There's basically a database underneath it. So the information I have in there, I think, is useful, could be converted into a different form if necessary. More important, I think, in the long term is a way to move forward with a, quote, perfectible system. And this is something I think I probably picked up mostly from Russell Ackoff in idealistic design. The idea that because can never get something perfect, you shouldn't do it because it's too big of a challenge. You could still make progress towards it. So perfectible doesn't mean that you're perfect. It means you're getting better all the time. You're moving towards your ideal. And so the idea with the modeling, as I tried to do it, was you can put things in a way that they're understandable within the context, and then you can make it better by reviewing it and getting feedback. You get a feedback loop. You can continue to improve it, but you need to have a place to catch all this data, register it in effect, and you need to have it understandable so that people can understand it and critically review it and provide the feedback that's necessary. So this was my whole idea, and the so-called database systems common came from capturing the information needed to develop a second model. And as I started, I sent something out on this, but I'm not sure who I sent it to. I'm not sure that it's been read. I tried to explain this fairly recently. When I started doing this and I started studying systems field seriously, I was taking notes, and I had a lot of fragmented notes. And I thought, well, I'm doing just what we don't need to do. We need to have a common database or model of all of this. So I started putting my notes into a model, and that's where systems common came from. So once I put something in there, it's there. And systems common is all factual and non-controversial. So it's not likely to change. So once I have a person in there, for example, they're there. If I have something in addition about them, I can easily add it to it. So there's a lot of different modeling concepts that I've developed and put into this. And it's hard to describe it in a few minutes, but hopefully Shingai and I will start digging into it. But it's there for whatever use can be made of it. I have my own ideas of where it should go, but it's something that I think a lot of people could work together on, something I think of as model-based collaboration. I think that's something we're interested in also. I hope I haven't confused everyone.
That's awesome. Good luck with your meeting, and yeah, in coming weeks, let's talk more about it rather than now, but that sounds awesome. Any other thoughts? Otherwise, next week we begin with Monday mornings and continue on Fridays. See where it gets with systems.
Yeah, no other major thoughts, but I just had my first week of classes for my system science master's and really enjoyed both of my intro lectures. I'm taking modern complexity theory with Carlos Gershenson, and I'm also taking computational tools, which is basically like a review of basic programming concepts in Python, and then looking at LaTeX language, Julia language, mathematical language, and R language, looking at the basics. And then we get to choose any problem of interest and start applying information theoretical measures using our programming language of choice. So I think there will be lots of cool overlap between what I'm learning in school and being able to apply it to real world modeling and analysis. So I'm excited.
Which university is that at?
Yeah, this is at Binghamton in New York. I'm doing a remote master's at Binghamton. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Yeah, Carlos Gershenson's great.
Mhm.
Very lot of philosophy and technical and also the Complexity Digest newsletter.
Mhm.
So, and also the Complexity Explained.
Yeah, that's our homework assignment for week 1 is
Oh,
to go through
I'll put it in the
Complexity
chat.
Explained, play with
Oh,
it.
just not kind of a classic website, even though it's simple, but it's beautiful.
Isn't
Yeah.
there a famous system scientist who was a professor at Binghamton? Was it Claire?
George
Yeah.
Clear, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Would it be fair to say that Binghamton is leading systems education, US and worldwide almost?
US, definitely. I think Portland State University would be the other competitor. I don't know, George, if you have any thoughts, but when I was looking at options, Binghamton seemed like the best for me.
Yeah, the program at Portland State has been largely freestanding in the sense that it's system science. Binghamton started out as, and I suspect it's still largely aligned with the engineering program. Which one is it? Well, anyway, it had a flavor of being part of an engineering program.
Mhm,
Now the master's, I think, is that you're in,
mhm,
as I understand it, is still more like the program at Portland State in that its focus is mainly on the issues of systems and systemness.
mhm.
But that again, I just get that from what people have told me and what reading. I'm on the board of advisors for Portland State, and I would say they're fairly equivalent in terms of the kinds of subjects that they get into, and then but and they're the only two that I know of. Almost all the other programs that have system science in their name or systems in their name are strongly aligned with. Um, it's not mechanical engineering. For the life of me, industrial engineering, because that tends to be very multidisciplinary and systems oriented by nature.
I guess in the UK we have Hull as a centre of activity, of systems activity.
Yeah, Hull and Ray Eisen was at Free. Is it called Free University?
Open University, yes. Yeah,
Open University.
yeah, Open University, yeah. Which is remote learning, so they're sort of not fixed in one location, but they're spread around, yeah,
Right.
so to speak.
I also have a friend who's at Arizona State University. They have a school of complex adaptive systems, and he's wrapping up his Master's of Science in complex system science. And he says it's pretty good.
That's associated with SFI, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Right.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you all. I will look forward to what we get to next week, and we'll look forward to the Friday session discussing what's relevant, otherwise working on one of these avenues, and then also being able to report for people who don't delve into the discords, people who want to join on the Fridays, and we can talk about just at a high level and also contribute to the SysXML and these other modeling efforts. So farewell.
Thank you, Daniel.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks all. Bye.